Good afternoon, everyone. I, Dr. Surekha, Professor and HOD and Event Coordinator, welcome you all to the Rajasthan Vidyapith Homeopathic Medical College and Hospital, Dabok, Udaipur, for second edition of second day Students Online Seminar Session 2021 from Department of Anatomy. Today's program schedule. First, I will show one video. This year video scientific education tour, anatomy garden. First, we will share this video, and then a welcome session, and then we will start the direct seminar, student seminar. Education. Education is most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. With this quote, we'll start the program with the blessings of Almighty and His Highness Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, Professor, and Colonel S.S. Sarandev, Sir. Before starting the program, we will share the Student Scientific Education Tour 2021 video. With the permission of Principal, Sir, I'm sharing the screen. Video. This is a scientific educational tour for the anatomy students. ये जो टूर हमने किया था दिस इस ईयर में किया था एनाटॉमी गार्डन उदयपुर फॉर ये जो गार्डन का हमने टूर किया था ये जो हमें परमिशन मिला था थैंक यू सर डॉक्टर अमय गोस्वामी सर प्रिंसिपल ऑफ राजस्थान राजस्थान विद्यापीठ होम्योपैथिक मेडिकल कॉलेज. Once again, I welcome our Honorable Principal Sir, Dr. Amaya Goswami Sir, Principal of Rajasthan Vidyapith Homeopathic Medical College and Hospital, Dabok, Udaipur. And I welcome all HODs, staffs, friends, parents, and and thank you for joining this virtual session. Now, I would like to request our respected principal, sir, to chair the session and address today's gathering. Sir, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Surekha, madam. I'm very happy that from the Department of Anatomy, you're organizing good seminar and especially motivating our students. And the last seminar was very good also. And also you have motivated our students that you have done a visit from the anatomy department. That was initially programmed. Due to COVID, we are regularly arranging this online program. And to increase the students' academic activities, we have arranged a good program. Today, 9 students are participating in this seminar. I'm also encouraging our students, Janvi Mehta, Aniska Joshi, Irinku Joshi, Khushi Rawal, Nandini Jhala, Nasmin Navodita Singh, Nishata Soni. Thanks to all the students. Please prepare your slides, just like anatomy department, every department, and enhance your academic activities. Because, you know, just like MBBS, we are also teaching all of you this allied subject. It's too difficult, anatomy and physiology. You have to compete among all the doctors in the universe. So best of luck, all the participants, all the speakers, and thankful to anatomy department, your class coordinator, Dr. Naveen, Dr. Rajkumari, Dr. Babita, Dr. Naveen, and Dr. Sunit Gargi, all the faculty of first year. I would like to request all the parents also, please motivate their student, their son and daughter to participate all academic activities, all the seminars, symposium, and those students are absent. Purpose, please carry on. All the best for this academic session.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for inspiring us. Next, I would like to call first student for the presentation, Janvi Mehta. Janvi. Yes, I will share the screen. Yes, Janu, shall I start?
Yes.
Yes, screen दिख रहा है आपको?
Yes.
Yes, now you can start. Sir, with your permission, we are starting the program, sir. Yes, Janvi.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone, respected principal, sir, all the teachers, and my dear batchmates. Today, I, Janvi Mehta, student of Rajasthan Vidyapit Homeopathic Medical College, here to present the topic on anatomy of a rectus sheath by its clinical importance on behalf of anatomy department under the guidance of Dr. Surekha. Yes. Now, this is an of the rectus sheath. It is a long fibrous sheath formed by an aponeurosis of the 3 anterior abdominal muscles, that is external oblique, internal oblique, and transverse abdominis. It has in 2 parts, anterior wall and posterior wall. Anterior wall, which is complete, covering the muscle end to end, and it is firmly adherent to the tendinous insertion of the rectus muscle, and posterior wall, which is free from the muscle and it incomplete deficient above the costal margin and below the adequate line. Fusion of all the aponeurosis in the midline is called linea alba. Laterally and the posterior wall extend the tip of the process of 9 costal cartilages of pubic tubercle. It is a midpoint between the umbilicus and symphysis. It is a line at which posterior wall of the sheath ends. Now the formation of the sheath. Its formation can be considered at the 3 levels: above the costal margin, between the costal margin, and below the arcuate line. Above the costal margin, posterior wall is formed by the posterior wall is deficient the rectus muscle and is directly dependent upon the 5th, 6th, and 7th costal cartilages. And anterior wall is formed by the external oblique aponeurosis. Between the costal margin, aponeurosis of internal oblique muscle enclosed to split the muscles, and the external oblique aponeurosis is directed in the front of the muscles, and transverse aponeurosis is directed behind the muscle. Below the arcuate line, posterior wall, which is completely absent, and aponeurosis of all 3 muscles form the anterior wall, and rectus muscles, which is contact in the fascia transversalis. And now the contents of the rectus sheath. First, the muscles. Rectus abdominis is the largest and the chief muscle. It originated from the lateral part of the pubic tubercle, it and 7 thoracic nerves. Now, its action of the muscle, it supports the abdominal viscera. Its expulsive at the oblique muscles is assisted by the transverse and can compress the abdominal viscera. Its forceful expiratory act, which compress the part of thorax and the movement of the trunk, like the action, flexion, etc. Now its second contains artery. It having the superior and inferior epigastric artery. Superior artery passing between the costal and xiphoid origin of a diaphragm. It supplies the rectus abdominis muscles and anastomosis with inferior epigastric artery. And inferior artery, it enters in passing the front of the veins. Now the veins, superior epigastric vein communicates its artery to join with internal thoracic vein, and inferior epigastric artery commits its artery and join the external ilium. Now the nerves, these are the terminal part of thoracic during this contraction and increase the efficiency of the muscles. Now the new concept of formation of sheath. Rectus sheath is formed by getting the fibers from the 3 and from the surfaces of each side. Each forms a binar aponeurosis at the medial border. Fibers from all 3 end muscles gives obliquely upward, and the posterior fiber which runs at the right angle to the anterior leaf of the rectus. Internal oblique aponeurosis and posterior sheath of the rectus. Fibers of each layer decussate opposite side of the sheath and also between the sheath. Now its clinical importance. Hematoma of the sheath. It is the most uncommon, but the important is its sites that occur at the right side below the level of umbilicus. Its main size is inferior epigastric artery, and sometimes it has inferior epigastric vein. It usually causes a trauma to the abdominal wall. Now its symptoms to the middle abdominal pain. Next one is epigastric hernia. It's occur the upper part, wide part of linea alba. It's just above the belly button and just below the sternum. And epigastric hernia can cause a tenderness and pain in the epigastric region. And at last, the separation of recti abdominis. It occurs in the multiparous female with a weak abdominal muscles, and the aponeurosis forming the rectal sheath becomes stretched. Loop of the intestine protrude during or strain, and this can be corrected by weaving the suitable abdominal pore. Thank you everyone for listening my presentation, and at last, thank you to the Dr. Surekha for guiding us.
Janvi, good presentation. Tell me, define rectus sheath. Define rectus sheath.
Ma'am, it is a a long fibrous sheath which is formed by the three anterior abdominal muscles, external oblique, internal oblique, and transverse abdominis.
Tell me what is the formation of rectus sheath?
Ma'am, it is formed at the three levels. First, above the causal margin, between the causal margin, and below the adequate line.
What is the new concept of rectus sheath?
Ma'am, it's formed by decusating the three abdominal muscles of the each side and formed a bilaminar aponeurosis at the medial borders.
What is the arterial supply?
Inferior and epigastric artery and superior epigastric artery.
Yes. Yes, good. Yes, next, Rinku Joshi. Are you ready, Rinki Joshi?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
You are sharing screen? क्या मुझे करना है आपका शेयर?
नहीं, आप ही करो मैम, आप ही करो.
ठीक. Yes, I'm sharing the screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, start.
Good afternoon to one and all, respected principals, sir, respected all teachers and all my batchmates. Myself, Rinku Joshi, student of Rajasthan Vidyapeeth Homeopathic Medical College and Hospital, Dabok, Udaipur, a constituent unit of Janardhan Rai Nagar, Rajasthan Vidyapeeth, deemed to be university. Today, I would like to represent the topic Anatomy of the Lungs on the behalf of the Anatomy Department, guided by Dr. Surekha Patil, ma'am. So first we will start with the introduction part, that lungs occupying major portion of the thoracic cavity that leave little space for heart and executes more of the left lung parts. The two lung, right and left lung, hold the heart tightly between them and provide the protection to it, which was separated by the mediastinum. Lungs are the pair of respiratory organ that's situated in the thoracic cavity. Right and left lungs are the pair of respiratory organ that's situated in the thoracic cavity. They are brown or gray in color, while in children, these are pink in color and later they become black due to deposition of inhaled carbon particle. Right lung is 700 gram in weight, where left lung is 650 gram in weight. Next, there are some anatomical or external feature present in the lungs. First, each lung is conical in shape. It has apex at upper end, base resting on diaphragm, three borders like anterior, posterior and inferior border, two surface like costal and middle surface. Lungs divided into three lobes, superior lobe, middle lobe and inferior lobe, which has two fissures, oblique fissures and horizontal fissure. It also contains the hilum part. Next, first apex. Apex is blunt that lies above the level of anterior end of first rib, which reaches nearly 2.5 cm above middle 1/3 of clavicle. It is covered by cervical pleura, suprapleural membrane and subclavian artery. Second, base is semilunar and concave in shape that rests on diaphragm. Right lung separate, ma'am, next slide. Right lung that separates the right lung from right lobe of liver and left lung from left lobe of liver, fundus of the stomach and spleen. Next, there are three borders. First, anterior border. Anterior border is very thin and shorter than posterior border. On right side, it is vertical and corresponds to anterior or costo-mediastinal line of pleural refraction. Next, second, posterior border is thick and ill-defined, where inferior border separates the base from costal and middle surface. Next, there are two surfaces. First, costal surface is very large and convex in shape, which is in contact with costal pleura, where middle surface is divided into two parts. Next, first, posterior or vertebral part, which is related with vertebral bodies, intervertebral disc, posterior intercostal vessel and splanchnic nerve, where anterior or mediastinal part are related with mediastinal septum and hilum. Next, there are two fissures. First, oblique fissure. Oblique fissure is cut into whole thickness of lung except hilum that passes obliquely downwards and forward, crosses posterior border about 6 cm and inferior border about 5 cm. Next, second, horizontal fissure. Horizontal fissure in right lung passes from anterior border up to oblique fissure and separates the wedge-shaped middle lobe from upper lobe. Next, there are some structure related to mediastinal line of right and left lung. Right lung contains the right atria, right ventricle, azygous vein, esophagus, inferior vena cava, right vagus nerve, etc. Where left lung contains the left atria, left ventricle, esophagus, left vagus nerve, left phrenic nerve, etc. Next, what is the root of the lung? It is short, broad pedicle that connects the middle surface of lung to mediastinum, which is formed by structure that enters or come out of the lung. It is opposite to fifth, sixth, and seventh thoracic vertebra. Next, it contains the principal bronchus, epiarterial, hyparterial bronchus, one pulmonary artery, two pulmonary veins, bronchopulmonary lymph nodes, and areolar tissue. Next, there are some arrangement of structure present in the root of the lung. Ma'am, first on right side, all the structures are present, while on left side, next slide, while on left side, all the structures are present. Next, arterial supply in the lung. First on left side, two bronchial artery are present that arises from descending thoracic aorta, and right side one bronchial artery present that arises from third right posterior intercostal artery. Next, venous supply. Right bronchial veins drain into azygous vein, where left bronchial veins drain into hemozygous vein. Lymphatic drainage like superficial vessel drain into peripheral lung tissue, and deep lymphatics drain into bronchial tree, pulmonary vessels, and connective tissue septa. Next slide. Bronchial tree. Nerve supply. Nerve supply, parasympathetic nerves are derived from vagus nerve. These fibers are motor fibers, secretomotor fibers, sensory fiber that are responsible for stretch reflex as well as for cuff reflex, where sympathetic nerve are derived from second to fifth sympathetic ganglia. Next, bronchial tree. Trachea divides into two primary principal bronchus. First, right principal bronchus, and second, left principal bronchus. Each principal bronchus divided into secondary lobar bronchi. There are three lobar bronchi, one present on right side and two present on left side. Each lobar bronchi divide into tertiary or segmental bronchus, and these segmental bronchi divide repeatedly and form a very small bronchus that are called as the respiratory bronchiole, which is also termed as alveolar duct, atria, air saccule, and pulmonary alveoli. Next, there are 10 bronchopulmonary segments present in each right and left lung. Next, covering of lung pleura. Pleura is the serous membrane which is lined by mesothelium. It has two layers, outer layer parietal pleura, inner layer visceral or pulmonary pleura. In this between two pleura, a cavity is present which is called as the pleural cavity. It is filled with pleural fluid. Next, last clinical importance of the lung. First, pleurisy. It is the inflammation of pleura, may be dry, accompanied by collection of fluid, which is also termed as pleural effusion, and other clinical importance like pneumothorax, hemothorax, and empyema. Fifth, bronchial asthma is a common disease of respiratory system that mainly occurs due to bronchospasm and reduces diameter of bronchiole. As a result, patient may experience difficulty during expiration, and although inspiration is accompanied, clinically asthma is bronchitis. Bronchitis is the inflammation. Ma'am, next slide. Ma'am, next slide, ma'am. Okay. Infa
Emphysema. Yeah.
bronchitis.
Okay. Time is over.
Okay, ma'am. I will do fast. Bronchitis is the inflammation of mucous membrane in bronchial tube, which is typically cause bronchospasm and coughing. Next, bronchiectasis. Bronchiectasis is the chronic. Bronchiectasis is the, ma'am. Next slide, ma'am. Bronchiectasis is the clinical condition in which bronchi and bronchiole are dilated permanently that result in next emphysema. Emphysema is the type of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease in which lungs become damaged and staged that result in chronic cough and difficulty in breathing. Smoking is the most common cause, but emphysema can also be a genetic disorder. And last clinical importance is the pneumonia. Pneumonia is the inflammation of the lung that caused or viral infection and affect both right and left lung. To and last treatment for the pneumonia, it includes management of complication and professional home care. Oxygen is not breathe adequately on their own. Thank you everyone and Dr. Surekha Patil ma'am for guiding me.
Rinku, yes, good presentation. Good presentation.
मैम थोड़ा नेटवर्क का प्रॉब्लम हो गया था उसमें.
हाँ हाँ कोई बात नहीं कोई बात नहीं. Tell me what is the meaning of pleura?
Pleura is the covering of the lungs. It is the serous membrane that lined by mesothelium.
What is the clinical importance of pleura?
Pleurisy. In the first clinical importance is the pleurisy, that is inflammation of the lungs. Hemothorax, that is presence of blood in the pleural cavity. Pneumothorax, presence of air in the pleural cavity.
What are the anatomical features or external features of lung?
It has apex, base, apex part, base part, three borders like anterior, posterior, and inferior border, two surface like costal and medial surface, and it also contains one of the part that is hilum.
Yes. What is the meaning of root?
Root is short, broad pedicle that comes or enter out of the lungs.
What is the difference between right root of the lung and left root of the lung?
What, ma'am? Right and left root of?
Yes. What is the difference between right root of the lung and left root of the lung?
Right lung contains the apical bronchus, hypartial bronchus, pulmonary artery, superior and inferior pulmonary veins, where left lung contains the single bronchus, pulmonary artery, superior inferior pulmonary veins, and anterior pulmonary plexus.
What is the main arterial? What is the arterial supply of the lungs?
There are two. In the arterial supply of the lungs, there are two sides. First, on left side, two bronchial arteries present, and on right side, one bronchial artery present. On left side, it arises from descending thoracic aorta, and on right side, it arises from third right posterior intercostal artery.
Yes. Tell me what is the meaning of emphysema?
What emphysema? Emphysema is the type of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease in which lungs become damaged and staged, and that result in chronic cough and difficulty in breathing. Smoking is the most common, but emphysema is also can genetic disorder.
Genetic disorder. Are you sure emphysema is this genetic disorder? Yes. Next.
आवाज नहीं आ रही है.
Next, Khushi. Are you ready, Khushi?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Share your screen.
Yes.
Hello. Hello.
मैम स्क्रीन शेयर हो रही है?
Yes, yes.
Good morning, respected principal, respected teachers, and my dear friends. I am Khushi from Rajasthan Vidyapeeth Homeopathy Medical College and Hospital, Dabok, Udaipur, a constituent unit of Janardhan Rai Nagar, Rajasthan Vidyapeeth, deemed to be university. Today, I am here to represent my topic on anatomy of small intestine with its clinical aspects, under the guidance of Dr. Surekha Patel, ma'am, HOD Anatomy of Department. So this is the structure of small intestine. The introduction of small intestine. The small intestine extends from the pylorus to the ileocecal junction. It is about 6 meters long and 2.5 to 3 centimeters in diameter. It receives bile juice and pancreatic juice through the pancreatic duct, which is controlled by the sphincter of Oddi. The structure of small intestine is adapted for the digestion and absorption. The length is greater in males than in females. The small intestine is divided into 3 parts: duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. The another name of duodenum is mixing bowl, which is help in acid neutralization, and jejunum, in which digestion and nutrient absorption occur. And in ileum, it is help in the absorption of vitamin B12. Anatomy. The duodenum is retroperitoneal and which is supplied by the celiac artery and the SMA. And jejunum occupy the upper left of the abdomen, which have thick ball and wider lumen than in the ileum. And ministry has less fat and form only 1 to 2 arcades. And in ileum occupy the lower right hand has more fat and form more arcades, which contains pairs patches. Ileum and jejunum is supplied by the SMA. Now I am talking about duodenum. Duodenum is short structure, continuous with the stomach and shaped like C. It is about 20 to 25 centimeters long. The duodenum is largely responsible for the breakdown of the food in the small intestine using enzymes. The duodenum also regulates the rate of the emptying of the stomach by hormonal pathways. Secretin and psilocytokinin are released from the cells in the duodenal epithelium in the response to the acid and the fatty stimuli. Basically, duodenum have 4 parts. The first part of duodenum is about 5 centimeters long, which is mostly movable part. And the second part is about 8 to 10 centimeters long. And third part is about 10 centimeters long. And the last part, fourth part of duodenum is about 2.5 centimeters long. Now the second part of the small intestine is jejunum. The jejunum is the midsection of the small intestine connecting the duodenum to the ileum. It is about 2.5 centimeters long, and contain the piliac circularices and villi, which increase the surface area. Product of digestion are absorbed into the bloodstream here. The suspensory muscle of duodenum mark the division between the duodenum and the jejunum. The main function of the jejunum is the absorption of important nutrients such as sugars, fatty acids, and amino acids. Jejunum starts from duodenal flexure of ileocelic junction. It is approximately 1/3 are the jejunal loop, and the distal 2/3 part are the loop of ileum. The jejunum loop are more muscular and more vascular, whereas iliac loop are thin-walled and less vascular. Interior show piliac circularices. Internally, ileum have pairs patches. The Pisces circularices are few in ileum. This is the structure of mucosa and muscularices of jejunum. The last part of the small intestine is ileum. The ileum is derived from the Greek word ileon, meaning the twist up tightly. The ileum follows the duodenum and the jejunum and separate from the cecum by the ileocelic walls. It is about 2 to 4 meters long and the pH is about 7 to 8. The main function of the ileum is to absorb vitamin B12, bile salts, and product of digestion were not absorbed by the jejunum. The wall itself is made up of folds which have many tiny finger-like projections known as villi on its surface. As you can see, this is the diagram of villi circularices. In this, you can see villi, mucosa, submucosa, and muscularices. The arterial supply of jejunum and the ileum. The superior menisceratic artery is the artery of midgut. It gives jejunal branches and iliac branches and terminate as ileocecal arteries. The accompanying veins join two splenic veins form the portal veins. The last, clinical aspects. Problems with the small intestine can include bleeding, celiac disease, Crohn's disease, infections, intestinal cancers, intestinal obstructions, irritable bowel syndromes, ulcers such as peptic ulcers. The first disorder is Crohn's disease. It causes inflammation of the disease. It is mostly common started between the age 13 and 30. The location. Crohn's can affect in an area from the mouth to the anus. It is often affected the ileum. The second disorder is jejunal diverticula. It is variable size and multiple, common in patients with connective tissue disorders. Variable clinical presentation. It is sometimes symptomless and is abdominal pain, malabsorption symptoms, giving rise to anemia, hypoproteinemia, and vitamin B12 deficiency. Resection of the affected segments with end-to-end anastomosis can be affected. Acute abdomen, acute inflammation, and performations. The last disorder is sickle disease. These are some symptoms. In skin, rattling of nails and acne, in intestine, diarrhea, bloating, constipations, in females, infertility, miscarriage, early menopause, in mouth, ulcer, tooth, enamel, erosion, in joints and muscles, pain and swelling, in stomach pain and nausea. Thank you. Thank you to guided me, Dr. Surekha Patel, ma'am, and thank you everyone for listening my presentation.
Khushi, are you hearing me?
Yes, ma'am.
Next, be ready, Khushi Rawal.
Yes, ma'am.
Khushi, tell me, what are the parts of small intestine? माइक ऑन करो अपना, माइक ऑन करो.
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ.
Yes, ma'am.
What are the parts of small intestine?
Small intestine parts include duodenum, jejunum, and ileum.
Tell me the parts of duodenum.
Duodenum have 4 parts. Ma'am, 4 parts होते हैं, लेकिन उनका नाम नहीं पता.
अच्छा, ठीक है. What is the location of duodenum?
Ma'am, क्या कहते हैं? Under the abdomen.
Under the abdomen?
In small intestine.
अच्छा. रीडिंग नहीं किया ऐसा लग रहा है मुझे. चलो ठीक है. नेक्स्ट, खुशी रावल, शेयर योर स्क्रीन. But good presentation, Khushi.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am?
हाँ.
Is my screen visible?
हाँ, yes, yes.
Good afternoon, respected principal, sir, teachers, and my dear friends. Today, I, Khushi Rawal, is here to present my PPT, and the given topic is mammary gland with its clinical importance. So let's get started. So these are the contents which I'll be discussing in my presentation. Breast or mammary gland. It is the most important structure in the pectoral region. In male, it is rudimentary, and in females after puberty, it is well developed, as you can see in the diagram. Location. It is found at the anterior thoracic wall, anterior to the deep fascia and the pectoral muscles, which is separated from retromammary space. Each breast consists of mammary glands and connective tissues. Structure of the breast is divided into skin, parenchyma, stroma, and axillary tail. You can see the deep relations of the mammary gland, lobes, alveoli, suspensory ligaments of Cooper, nipple, lactiferous duct, and the lactiferous sinus. Skin. The skin is surrounded by the base of nipple, which is pigmented and forms a circular area called the areola. The skin, as you can see in the diagram, the nipple, areola, and duct. Nipple is a conical projection which is pierced by 15 to 20 lactiferous ducts. Areola, it is rich in modified sebaceous gland. Parenchyma consists of 15 to 20 lobes, and each lobe is a cluster of alveoli and is drained by lactiferous duct. Stroma, fat and fibrous part form suspensory ligament of Cooper. As you can see in the diagram, there is partly fibrous portion and some partly fatty portion. Axillary tail of breast. It is also known as pens tail axillary process or axillary tail. Basically, as you can see in the diagram, it is an extension of the upper lateral quadrant of breast. Now the arterial supply. Breast blood supply comes from three sources: branches of the axillary artery, branches of the internal thoracic artery, and the perforating branches of second, third, and fourth intercostal arteries. Lymphatic drainage. As you can see in the diagram, there are two routes. One is from subaerial lymphatic plexus to the pectoral lymph nodes, then the axillary lymph nodes, and then finally the subclavian lymphatic trunks. The second route you can see in the diagram from the subaerial lymphatic plexus to the parasternal lymph nodes, and last at the brachiomediasternal lymphatic trunks. Breast cancer is correlated to the lymphatic drainage. A cancer that forms in the cells of breast. Breast cancer can occur in women and rarely in men. The causes are it occurs when breast cells grow abnormally. Venous drainage. It involves axillary vein, internal thoracic vein, and the posterior intercostal veins. Nerve supply. Sensory nerve ending in the nipple and areola play an important role in stimulating release of milk. Nerve supply can convey sensory fibers to the skin and the autonomic fibers to the smooth muscles and blood vessels. As you can see in the diagram, the gland is comprised of 15 to 20 secretory lobes, which is separated by fibrous bands called suspensory ligament of breast. Now you can clearly see through the diagram that the connective tissues and the cuboidal cells and the lactiferous ducts are of two types. One is in the form of inactive, or you can say in the resting state, and the another one is in the active state. Now the clinical anatomy. Below mentioned are some disorders of mammary gland. Pudiorange, which means skin of an orange. Now the causes of the pudiorange are the cutaneous lymphatic edema, which may cause swelling and it feels sore, swollen, and heavy. You can see the diagram mentioned. Retracted or insected nipples. Nipples which are pointed inward or lie flat. The causes are bacterial infection, or it may be inborn disease, any kind of injury. You can see in the diagram that the difference through the diagram normal nipple to the inverted nipple. Polymestia. It is termed to describe the presence of more than two breasts in human beings. The cause are it is caused by forming during the development in the womb. This is the diagram showing a person suffering from polymestia. Fourth, the gynecomastia. Gynecomastia is the swelling of breast tissue in general. It occurs generally in boys or men. It is caused by newborn boys going through the puberty, and older men may develop gynecomastia as a result of normal changes in hormone levels. Hormones like estrogen and testosterone take a part. You can see through the diagram the person suffering from gynecomastia. These are the breast self-examination. First, you have to lie down and put your left arm under your head. Use right hand and move gently in circular motion to the breast and repeat on the another breast. Look in front of mirror, hands on the hips, look for lumps or any different in size and shape. Now the third one is you can squeeze each nipple of breast gently. If any discharge of fluid or any lumps, then consult to doctor immediately. Now at last, I would like to convey my special thanks and gratitude to the respected Surekha ma'am, who guided me and gave this opportunity to perform in front of you all. Thank you everybody for your kind anticipated participation.
Thank you, Khushi.
Yes, ma'am.
Good presentation.
Thank you, ma'am. Hope this time I managed the time.
Yeah. Little bit is more, 1 minute is more, no problem. But good presentation, good presentation.
Thank you, ma'am. All your guidance.
No, but your hard work is there, na? Hard work.
Thank you, ma'am.
Khushi, tell me the
Yes,
location of the breast. Breast is also called as, what is another name? Synonymous name?
Another name of breast? Mammary gland.
Yes, it is a mammary gland. What is the location of mammary gland?
It is found in the pectoral region to the anterior thoracic wall and anterior to the deep fascia around the pectoral muscles.
What are the parts of mammary gland?
Skin, parenchyma, and stroma.
Stroma. Tell me the structure of the stroma.
Okay. A stroma is basically an fat and fibrous part. Some of the part is fibrous and some of the part is fatty. It is also called as ligament of Cooper.
Can you tell me what is the clinical importance for the lymphatic drainage of the mammary gland? How we correlate with this anatomy part with applied aspect?
Okay, so basically lymphatic drainage is correlated with breast cancer, and
tell me how this breast cancer spreads, or you can say as it is metastasis to the
due to some abnormal growth of cells from the lymphatics or lymph nodes.
What is the medium? What is the medium? How this go? See, mammary gland is present in the pectoral region. Uterus is present in the pelvic region. How it spreads? One region to the another region.
Another region.
Be ready, Nandini Jhala. Nandini Jhala, are you hearing me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, share your screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Next, be ready, Nasim.
Ma'am, is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. All of वीडियो पे आ जाओ सब लोग, आपका ही प्रोग्राम है.
Shall I start?
Yeah, you start.
Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Nandini Jhala from Rajasthan Vidyapit Homeopathic Medical College and Hospital, Dabok, Udaipur. Today, on behalf of Department of Anatomy and under the guidance of respected Dr. Surekha Patil ma'am, I am here to give a presentation on the topic muscles of the arm. These are the contents which I will discuss. So before we start with the muscle part, we need to know what arm is. So according to human anatomy, arm is the part of upper limb between the glenohumeral joint and the elbow joint. Also, the shoulder girdle with bones and corresponding muscles is by definition a part of the arm. Now the compartments of the arm. Arm is divided into two compartments, anterior and posterior, as you can see in the diagram. Here it is separated by two septa, namely medial intermuscular septum and lateral intermuscular septum. Also, the anterior compartment has two more septa called transverse septa and the anterior-posterior intermuscular septa. Now the anterior compartment. It contains three muscles, namely coracobrachialis, biceps brachii, and the brachialis. Arterial supply to these muscles is via branches of brachial artery. First muscle, coracobrachialis. Located near the shoulder, origin, medial aspect of tip of the coracoid process and is inserted in the medial border of humerus as we can see in the diagram. Nerve supply is via musculocutaneous nerve and for action it causes flexion of the arm at the shoulder joint. Its morphological importance, it represents the medial compartment of the thigh. In some animals, it has three heads, but in humans, third head has disappeared and the other two are fused together. Occasionally, ligament of Struthers is also present here. Second muscle, biceps brachii. It is a two-headed muscle. A common tissue sheet called bicipital aponeurosis is also present here. Origin, short head arises from the lateral aspect of tip of the coracoid process and long head arises from supraglenoid tubercle as seen in the diagram, and both insert in the posterior rough part of the radial tuberosity. Nerve supply via musculocutaneous nerve and for action, mainly it is a strong supinator of forearm and flexor of elbow. Clinical aspect, biceps reflex. Musculocutaneous nerve is tested by biceps reflex. इसमें रिफ्लेक्स हैमर से बाइसेप्स टेंडन पर टैप करते हैं जिससे वहां के स्ट्रेच रिसेप्टर्स एक्टिवेट हो जाते हैं और उस मसल में रिफ्लेक्स कंट्रैक्शन इंड्यूस होता है और फ्लेक्शन ऑफ फोरआर्म भी होता है. थर्ड मसल, ब्रैकियालिस. इट लाइज डीप अंडर द बाइसेप्स मसल. Origin, lower half of front of the humerus. Insertion, ulnar tuberosity and rough anterior surface of coronoid process as seen in the diagram. Nerve supply is via musculocutaneous nerve, which is motor, and radial nerve is the proprioceptive nerve. Action, it causes flexion of forearm at the elbow joint. Now the posterior compartment. Posterior compartment contains two muscles, namely triceps brachii and anconeus muscle. Arterial supply to these is via the profunda brachii artery. First, triceps brachii. It is a three-headed muscle. The long head arises from the infraglunar tubercle of scapula, lateral head from the oblique ridge on the humerus, and medial head arises from the triangular area on posterior surface of humerus. Insertion: the long and lateral head inserts into the olecranon process, whereas the medial head partly inserts into superficial tendon and partly into the olecranon process. As we can see in the diagram, the three heads. Nerve supply: each head receives a separate branch from the radial nerve, and for action, it is a powerful active extensor of elbow and supports the head of the humerus in the abducted position of the arm. Clinical aspect: in radial nerve injuries, during the radial nerve injuries, the triceps brachii usually escapes complete paralysis because the two nerves supplying it arises in the axilla. Second, contraction in triceps is felt when the person is asked to extend his elbow against the resistance of physician's hand. Last muscle, anconeus. It is a small triangular muscle that helps to extend the elbow and rotate the forearm. Origin: lateral epicondyle of humerus and is inserted in the lateral surface of olecranon process. Nerve supplies via radial nerve, and for the action, it assists the forearm extension at the elbow joint, stabilization of the elbow joint, and allow a person to extend his elbow and rotate the forearm. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, respected Surekha ma'am, for guiding and helping us.
Nandini झाला ना?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Tell me the muscles. Anterior compartment muscle. No? It is a topic is the anterior compartment of the arm muscles. Are you hearing me?
Muscles of the, yes, ma'am.
Muscles of the arm. Anterior compartment and posterior compartment, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me the posterior compartment of the muscles.
Posterior compartment, ma'am, it has two muscles, triceps brachii and anconeus muscle. Triceps brachii has a three-headed muscle, and anconeus muscle is a small muscle which is sometimes also considered as a part of triceps brachii.
Triceps brachii. Triceps brachii. Yes. What is the origin of anconeus muscle?
Origin, ma'am, lateral epicondyle of humerus.
Lateral epicondyle humerus. Okay. What is the insertion?
Lateral surface of olecranon process.
And origin?
Lateral epicondyle of humerus.
Are you
I'm
sure?
not sure.
I'm not sure. Yeah. Okay. Tell me the anterior compartment of the arm muscles.
It has three muscles: coracobrachialis, biceps brachii, and brachialis.
Brachialis. Tell me what is the origin of coracobrachialis?
Its origin, ma'am, medial aspect of tip of the coracoid process.
Insertion?
And it is inserted in the medial 5 centimeter of the medial border of humerus.
What is the clinical importance of biceps brachii?
एक तो इससे we can see the palpitation of the muscle, and second is biceps reflex, जिसमें musculocutaneous की testing होती है. उस मसल पर टैप करते हैं जिससे वहाँ के स्ट्रेच रिसेप्टर्स एक्टिव हो जाते हैं और वहाँ पे एक सडन जर्क और फ्लेक्शन होता है. Flexion of forearm occurs.
How will you examine biceps muscle?
टैप कर मतलब
कैसे करोगे? हिंदी में बताओ. नहीं चलो
हैमर से.
हाँ, हैमर से.
रिफ्लेक्स हैमर से वहां पर उस मसल को लोकेट करके उस पर टैप करना है, तो मस्कुलोक्यूटेनियस नर्व वहां से पास थ्रू होगी. तो स्ट्रेच रिसेप्टर्स वहाँ के एक्टिव हो जाएंगे और फ्लेक्शन फोरआर्म में फ्लेक्शन होगा जिससे उस मसल और नर्व का एक्यूरेसी पता चले।
एक्यूरेसी पता, जैसे अपन टैप करते, जैसे अपन उसमें मसल पे टैप करते, तो what we have to, what you will observe, what we have to observe on that part?
रिफ्लेक्स कॉन्ट्रैक्शन होगा मसल में।
Yes, contraction of the muscle. Yes. Next, who is next? Naseem, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Share your screen. Next, Navodita, be ready.
Hello, ma'am. Is the screen visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, respected principal sir and all the teachers present. And very good afternoon to our Surekha ma'am, who is the professor of anatomy and HOD of Department of Anatomy. My name is Naseem Sheikh, and I am a student of Rajasthan Vidyapit Homeopathic Medical College and Hospital from the Dabhol, a constituent unit of Janardhan Nair Agar, Rajasthan Vidyapit, deemed to be university. I am going to present the topic anatomy of anterior compartment of forearm with clinical importance. These are the topics that I will discuss in the presentation along with the surface anatomy and clinical correlations. Surface anatomy of the anterior compartment of forearm comprises of the following landmarks: medial epicondyle and lateral epicondyle of humerus, tendon of biceps brachii muscle, head of radius and olecranon process of ulna, head of ulna, and pisiform bone located in the hand. The muscles of the anterior compartment are divided into two parts: superficial muscles and deep muscle. The superficial group consists of the following muscles arranged from lateral to the medial side. We will discuss them in detail in their origin and insertion along with their actions. Pronator pterygium muscle originates from two heads: superficial humeral head and a deep ulnar head. It is inserted into the medial 1/3 of the lateral surface of the radius supplied by the median nerve. Its main action is to act as the pronator of the forearm. Flexor carpi radialis muscle originates from the medial epicondyle of humerus, common flexor origin, inserted into the second and third basal metacarpal bones supplied by the median nerve. Its action is to flex the wrist and abduct the wrist. Palmaris longus, it is a vestigial muscle as it has a long tendon and a short bulky musculature. It originates from the common flexor origin, inserted into the apex of palmar aponeurosis by a long cord-like tendon supplied by the median nerve. Its action is to flex the wrist and tense the palmar aponeurosis. Flexor carpi ulnaris muscle originates from two heads: a small humeral head and a large ulnar head. It is inserted into the pisiform bone and hook of Hammett along with the base of fifth metacarpal bone. It is supplied by the ulnar nerve. Its action is to adduct the wrist joint and flex the wrist joint. Flexor digitorum superficialis is the largest muscle of the superficial group of muscles located in front of the forearm. It originates from two heads: humerulnar head and radial head, inserted into the hand by 4 tendons from the second to the fifth digits by 2 slips. It is innervated by median nerve. Its action is to flex the middle phalanx of fingers, assisting in gripping action. The next compartment is the deep layer of the front of the forearm muscles. The first we will discuss is the flexor digitorum profundus. It is the most bulky and powerful muscle of the forearm, providing powerful gripping strength. It originates from the upper 3/4 of the anterior and medial surfaces of the shaft of ulna by an aponeurosis of 3/4 posterior border of ulna, and from medial side of olecranon process and coronary process of ulna. It is inserted into the distal phalanxes. Of the phalanges by single tendons each. It is a mixed or hybrid muscle as it is supplied by two nerves: medial half by ulnar nerve and lateral half by interosseous nerve, a branch of medial nerve. Its main action is to provide gripping strength and flexing of distal interphalangeal joints. Flexor pollicis longus, it is the muscle which lies lateral to the flexor digitorum profundus. It originates from the upper 2/3 of the anterior surface of the radius below the anterior oblique line of the radius, inserted into the distal phalanx of the thumb It is supplied by the anterior interosseous nerve. Its main action is to flex the distal phalanx of the thumb. Pronator quadratus muscle, it is a flat quadrilateral muscle originating from the oblique ridge of lower 1/4 of the anterior surface of ulna, inserted into the lower 1/4 of the anterior surface of radius. Its main action is to act as the pronator. The arteries of the forearm are radial and ulnar arteries, as they originate from the brachial artery and move along the main bones of the forearm. The main blood supply of the forearm is provided by anterior interosseous artery, which is a branch of ulnar artery and common interosseous artery. Nerves of the front of the forearm are medial, radial, and ulnar nerve. The median nerve is the principal nerve of the forearm, as it supplies most of the muscles of the forearm. Clinical anatomy of the forearm: aberrant ulnar artery. It is a very important variation of the ulnar artery. In about 3% of the individuals, it is found that the ulnar artery, which should be deeply located, courses superficially along the flexor muscles of the front of the forearm. Care should be taken while giving intravenous injections and other such surgical procedures. Examination of the radial pulse: it is felt on the radial side of the front of the forearm, just before the wrist joint. It is generally used for examining pulse rate at clinics. Volkmann's ischemic contracture or ischemic compartment syndrome. It occurs due to occlusion, that is due to extra force that causes blood flow to completely stop or come to a halt, or lacellation due to deep injuries, and it causes the paralysis of flexor muscle of the forearm due to ischemia within a few hours. That is all for my presentation. I would like to thank all my colleagues and teaching faculties and parents present, along with Professor Surekha Patil, who took tremendous efforts to train us for this presentation. Thank you. Hello, ma'am.
Yes. Are you hearing me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, tell me. Tell me the anterior compartment of the forearm muscles. Name.
It is divided into two parts, superficial and deep part. Superficial contains the pronator teres muscles from the medial to the lateral sides. First comes the pronator teres muscle. The second is the flexor carpi radialis muscle. The third is the palmaris longus muscle. The fourth is the flexor carpi ulnaris muscle. And the fifth is the flexor digitorum superficialis muscle. The deep part consists of flexor digitorum profundus muscle, flexor carpi ulnaris muscle, and pronator quadratus.
Good. Yes. Navodita, share your screen.
Yes, ma'am.
After Navodita, I think Anshika will be present. Anshika Joshi, are you hearing me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. After Anshika, last Nishita Soni. Be ready, both of you.
Ma'am, it's visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Good afternoon to Principal Sir and my respected teachers and my dear friends. Myself, Navodita Singh, student of Rajasthan Vidyapeeth Homeopathic Medical College and Hospital, a constituent unit of Janardhan Rai Nagar Vidyapeeth, deemed to be university. On the behalf of Department of Anatomy, in guidance of Dr. Surekha Patil Ma'am, Professor and HOD of Anatomy Department, I am here to present the topic Anatomy of median nerve with its clinical importance. Median nerve. It runs in the median plane of the forearm, hence it is called median nerve. It is very important in gripping movement of the hand. Its root value is 5th cervical to 8th cervical and 1st thoracic segments of the spinal cord. In arm, it continues to run on the lateral sides of the brachial artery till the middle of the arm, where it crosses in front of the artery and passes interior to the elbow joint into the forearm. In forearm, it enters between the heads of the pronator teres, then goes deep to the fibers arc of the flexor digitorum superficialis. In middle forearm, it descends between the flexor digitorum superficialis and flexor digitorum profundus. It comes to lie on the lateral sides of the flexure digitorum superficialis above 5 cm the wrist and becomes superficial. In axilla, median nerve is formed by two roots, lateral root and the medial root. Lateral root is formed by the lateral cord of brachial plexus and the medial root is formed by the medial cord of brachial plexus. Median nerve runs on the lateral side of the axillary artery. In hand, it passes to the deep to the flexure retinaculum and enters the palm. It lies medial to the muscles of thenar eminence and which gives cutaneous branches to lateral 3 half digits and their nail beds. Cuboidal fossa. This is the part where most medially the median nerve is present. It gives 3 branches to the flexure muscles of the forearm. It leaves the cuboidal fossa by passing between the two heads of the pronated teres. Branches of median nerve. In arm, it gives vascular branches. In forearm, it gives muscular branches to all superficial flexure muscles such as pronator teres, flexure carpi radialis, palmaris longus, flexure pollicis longus, and flexure digitorum superficialis. An anterior anterosseous branch. Articular branches which supplies the elbow joint and the proximal ulnar joint. Palmar cutaneous branch which supplies skin over thenar eminence and the central part of the palm. Clinical importance of median nerve. Median nerve controls various movements of the hand as it supplies the most long muscles of the forearm. Hence, it is also known as Leber's nerve and also the eye of the hand as it is sensory to most of the hand. Carpal tunnel syndrome. It involved in the carpal tunnel at the wrist has become a very common entity. When median nerve is injured above the level of the elbow, as happens in the supracondyle fracture, the following features are seen. Flexure pollicis longus and the lateral half of the flexure digitorum profundity are paralyzed. In this condition, patient is unable to bend terminal phalanx of the thumb and the index finger. Forearm is kept in a supine position due to the paralysis of pronators. Hand is attracted to the paralysis of the flexure carpi radialis and the flexion at the wrist is weak. Flexion at interphalangeal joints of the index and the middle fingers is lost, so that index finger is always pointed straight while making the fist. This occurs due to the paralysis of long flexures of the digit. Ape or monkey-like thumb deformity. This is caused due to the paralysis of thenar muscles. Area of sensory loss corresponds to its distribution in the hand. Here in this image, the yellow area shows the nerve sensory distribution via the carpal tunnel, and the green area shows the nerve sensory distribution via forearm. Vasomotor and the tropic changes. The skin on the lateral 3 half digit is warm, dry, and scaly. The nails get cracked easily. Complete claw hand. If the both median and the ulnar nerves are paralyzed, the result is complete claw hand. Thank you, Dr. Surekha Patil ma'am, for guiding me and everyone for giving their precious time.
Navodita, good presentation. Can you hearing me, Navodita?
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Musculocutaneous nerve, right? Your presentation.
Thank you, ma'am.
Tell me what is the clinical importance?
Ma'am, carpal tunnel syndrome, in which the median nerve is pinched off in the wrist under the carpal tunnel, which is formed by the carpal bones. And when as it controls many movements of the hand, as it supplies many long muscles of the forearm, it is also known as the Leber's nerve. And when the median nerve is paralyzed, injured above the elbow, उस condition में ma'am, while making the fist, the index finger and the middle finger is always pointed straight, and forearm is adducted and
म्यूट कर लिया नवदिता.
Sorry, forearm is adducted and
okay.
एक minute. Forearm is adducted and Yes, ma'am. Ape-like or monkey-like deformity occurs.
Yes, yes.
And topic changes occurs. And
okay. Next, be ready. Share your screen. Anshika, you will share the screen या मुझे share करना है? आप कर लोगे, मुझे करना है?
मैं कर लूँ.
हाँ, कर लो. हमारे बीच में फॉरेंसिक मेडिसिन के एचओडी मैडम हमारे बीच में हैं. तो लास्टली शी विल explain or conclusion part she will explain after this session, after Nishita Soni. आपको शायद पता ना, हाँ यस यस, आपको शायद पता नहीं होगा, मैडम इज ऑब्जर्विंग फ्रॉम इनिशियल, है ना, सबसे जानवी का जैसे स्टार्ट हुआ फ्रॉम बिगिनिंग शी इज ऑब्जर्विंग यू. आफ्टर दिस योर सेशन शी विल conclude this session after completion of the all seminar participant. Yes, continue.
Good afternoon. Respected principal, respected Surekha ma'am, and all teachers and my dear batchmate. I am student of Rajasthan Vidyapit Homeopathic Medical College and Hospital, a constituent unit of Janardhan Rai Nagar Rajasthan Vidyapit, Team 2B University. Under the guidance of Surekha ma'am, I am here to represent the topic pectoral region muscles. So here is, we complete all these topics in this presentation. So first of all, know about the pectoral region muscle. We should know about where is the pectoral region. The pectoral region lies on the front of the chest. It essentially consists of structure which connect the upper limb to the anterolateral chest wall. See in this image, you can see this is the pectoral region, and the very most important structure, breast, lies in this region. Muscles of the pectoral region. There is the 4 muscles of the pectoral region: pectoralis major, pectoralis minor, subclavius, and the serratus anterior. Serratus anterior muscle is not strictly muscle of the pectoral region, but it is considered here. It is also called boxer's muscle or swimmer's muscle because when we swim or boxing, this muscle is used. First muscle, pectoralis major muscle. You can see in this image, pectoralis major muscle, it has 2 heads, clavicular and the sternocostal head. It is originate from the medial half of the clavicle, the sternum, and the upper 6 costal cartilage. Insertion. It is inserted into the lateral lip of the bicipital groove of the humerus. Nerve supply. It is supplied by the medial and lateral pectoral nerve. Action. Adduction, flexion, medial rotation of the arm. Pectoralis minor muscle. You can see in this image, pectoralis minor muscle. It is originate from the 3rd, 4th, and 5th ribs near their cartilage. Insertion. It is inserted into the anterior border of the coracoid process of the scapula. Nerve supply. It is supplied by medial pectoral nerve. Action. Depression and protraction of the scapula. It rotates the scapula downward. Subclavius muscle. You can see in this image, below the clavicle, it is very small muscle. Subclavius. It is originate from the upper surface of first costal cartilage. Insertion. It is inserted into the middle third of the inferior surface of the clavicle. Nerve supply. It is supplied by nerve to the subclavius. Action. It depresses the clavicle and it steadies the clavicle during movement of the shoulder girdle. Serratus anterior muscle. It is originate from the outer surface of upper 8 ribs. Insertion. It is inserted into the costal aspect of medial border and the inferior angle of scapula. Action. Drops the scapula forward around the thoracic wall and rotates the scapula. Nerve supply. It is supplied by long thoracic nerve C5, C6, and C7. This is, you can see dissected part of the pectoralis major muscle. Clearly, you can see in this image. Pectoralis minor muscle. This is the subclavius muscle below the clavicle. This is the very small muscle you can see in this image. Serratus anterior muscle. You can clearly see all 8 digitation of the serratus anterior muscle. This is the movement of pectoralis major muscle, adduction, abduction. This is the flexion, extension, medial rotation. This is the movement of the minor muscle, draw the scapula forward. Subclavius muscle steadies the clavicle during movement of the shoulder joint. Serratus anterior muscle steadies the scapula during weight carrying. Now, clinical importance. Serratus anterior is called the boxer's muscle since it is responsible for pushing and punching movement. Paralysis of the serratus anterior result in a winging of scapula, in which the inferior angle and the medial border of the scapula are unduly prominent. The patient is unable to do any pushing movement and punching movement and unable to raise his arm above the head. Now you can clearly see in this image winging of scapula. Clinical testing. Forward pressure with the hands against a wall offered by the examiner makes the winging of scapula. You can see this is the winging of scapula. Medial and lateral pectoral nerves supply both pectoralis major and minor muscle. So, if the medial and lateral pectoral nerve injured, the patient is unable to do the movement like adduction, abduction, flexion, extension, medial rotation of shoulder joint. Now to the subclavius supplies the subclavius muscle. And if this nerve is injured, the patient is unable to do the movements of shoulder joint. Long thoracic nerve supplies the serratus anterior. If this nerve is injured, the patient is unable to do pushing and punching movement, and this can occur also winging of the scapula. Thank you, Surekha ma'am, for guiding us. Thank you, all of you, listen me.
Anshika, are you hearing me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, good presentation. Huh? Yesterday, really, I was कि भाई ये अंशिका कर पाएगी कि नहीं, but today is no disturbance about the network and screen sharing is good also. Huh? Very good. Anshika, you tell me only what is the meaning of winging of scapula?
A winging of scapula when the long thoracic is now injured. So scapula's inferior angle and medial border as unduly prominent.
Good. Next, last presentation. Nishita Soni, you want to ask? Dr. Priyanka, you want to ask any question? Unmute karo.
Vanshika.
Haan.
Isn't it? Vanshika, can I ask one question?
Yes, ma'am.
How could you apply anatomy in clinically? What is the utility of anatomy in clinic? आप जो पढ़ रहे हैं ना anatomy, इसकी importance क्या है?
For example, you discuss about today's muscles, है ना? How it applied? Mic start करो आपका.
Anatomy is very important in clinic. When we patient come to the doctor, he said कि मुझे यहाँ दर्द हो रहा है, तो एनाटॉमी तब हमें काम आएगी कि इस रीजन में कौन सा ऑर्गन है और उसमें क्या इफेक्ट हो सकता है या फिर कौन सी नर्व सप्लाई डैमेज हो गई है, तो इसके लिए एनाटॉमी बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट है.
Very good. Thank you.
Next presentation. This is the last presentation. Nishita Soni, are you hearing me?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, is screen visible?
Yes.
My voice is clear?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nishita Soni, a first-year student of Rajasthan Vidyapith Homeopathic Medical College, a constituent unit of Janardhan Rai Nagar, Rajasthan Vidyapith University. Today, on the behalf of Anatomy Department and under the guidance of Dr. Surekha Patil ma'am, I would like to present my seminar on the topic of anatomy of stomach. So what is stomach? So stomach is an intraperitoneal digestive organ which lies within the superior aspect of abdomen. And the main function of a stomach is digestion of carbohydrate, protein, fats. And it's the digestion is done by the releasing of enzyme and the acids. Next is external feature or anatomical description of stomach. So stomach is roughly J-shaped, which lies obliquely and two parts. Next is first we take openings of stomach. Opening means orifice in anatomy. So first is cardiac orifice. Cardiac orifice connect esophagus with stomach through and there is and that junction have cardiac sphincter. The pyloric orifice connect duodenum with stomach and have pyloric sphincter at their junction. Next is curvatures. The first is greater curvature. Greater curvature form lateral border of stomach, as you can see in diagram. It is long, convex, and it have large. Cardiac notch at its starting point. Then the lesser curvature. Lesser curvature form medial surface of stomach, have angular notch at its lower end. Next is parts of stomach. The first is cardia, fundus. Fundus is filled with the gases. Body, which is the largest part, and the pyloric antrum, pyloric canal, and the pyloric canal attached with duodenum and have pyloric sphincter at their junction. Next is the histology part. Histology, first comes the wall. First comes the walls. Four walls, mucosa, which comprises of epithelium, lamina propria, muscularis, mucosa. Submucosa layer, muscularis externa layer, which have three layers, oblique, circular, longitudinal, which is from inside to outside. And in whole GIT, there is only two layers in muscularis externa, but except stomach have three layers. Last is serosa. The mucosa layer contains gastric glands. Gastric glands open into the stomach through gastric pits. Gastric glands contain parietal cell, chief cell, enteroendocrine cell. Next is anatomical relations of stomach. First is peritoneal relation. First is lesser omentum. Lesser omentum connects to liver. Greater omentum connects stomach to the transfer colon. Gastrosplenic ligament connects to spleen. Gastropharyngtic ligament connects to diaphragm. Next is visceral relation. So the first is anterior. The anterior superior surface of stomach connects to these three organs, and the posterior inferior surface of stomach connects to these 8 organs. And these 8 organs form a bed-like structure for stomach. So that's why it's called stomach bed. Next is blood supply. Blood supply or arterial supply of stomach. So in this, the main branch is celiac trunk, which get the supply directly from the abdominal aorta. Celiac trunk divides into 3 main branches, which is left gastric artery, splenic artery, common hepatic artery. And again, these 3 branches divide into small branches and cover up the blood supply of whole stomach. Next is venous drainage. In this, left-right gastric vein drains into the portal vein, as you can see in diagram, and right-left gastroepiploic vein drains into the superior mesenteric vein, this here in diagram, and short gastric vein drains into the splenic vein. Next is lymphatic drainage. To understand lymphatic drainage, we divide stomach into 4 quadrants. This look at the diagram, please. This quadrant drains into the pancreatosplenic node. This quadrant drains into the left gastric node. This quadrant drains into the right gastric node, and this one drains into the pyloric and left gastroepiploic node. All these nodes ultimately drains into the celiac node, and celiac node drains into the thoracic duct. Next is nerve supply. So for nerve supply, first is parasympathetic nerve supply. Parasympathetic nerve supply is derived from the vagus nerve. Vagus nerve have 2 branches, which is right vagus nerve, as you can see in diagram, and the left vagus nerve. Right vagus nerve supplied to the posterior surface of the stomach, and left vagus nerve supplied to the anterior surface of the stomach. And the main function of parasympathetic nerve supply is to initiate the digestion process. For that, they induce the gastric secretions. They induce the relaxation of pyloric sphincter, and also vagus nerve take the sensation of stomach to the CNS, like pain, fullness, nausea of stomach. Next is sympathetic nerve supply. Sympathetic nerve supply derived from the celiac plexus, and the main function of CNS is what is the main function, which is it induces when we have to fight or flight. So at that time, the main purpose is to fight or flight, not the digestion. So at that time, what sympathetic nerves do, they inhibit the digestion process. They inhibit the opening of pyloric sphincter. Next is the clinical aspect. The first is GERD, which is gastroesophageal reflux disease. In this, the chyme present in stomach. Start regurgitating or reflect back to the esophagus, and because of that, the patient feel pain in chest or heartburn. Next is gastritis. Gastro means stomach, and itis means inflammation. So in this, the inflammation occurs to the mucosa layer of stomach, and it can be sudden, which is acute gastritis. It can be slow and for long period, which is chronic gastritis. Next is gastric ulcer. When the inflammation of mucus layer get extended deep into the muscular layer, it converted into the ulcer. And the most common site of ulcer is lesser curvature of stomach. Next is gastric cancer. When the cancerous cell start developing into the stomach, or malignant growth start ho jati hai, and because of that, they ultimately convert into the tumor, and then the patient is have the gastric cancer. And the most common gastric cancer is adenocarcinoma. Next is examination of stomach. Now Nishita, we have to diagnose. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, time is over. You tell me what is the meaning of stomach bed?
Ma'am, stomach bed is the posterior relation of posterior inferior relation of the stomach with the diaphragm, then the spleen, splenic artery, transfer colon, and left colic flexure, and then the liver, left kidney, and left suprarenal gland. And yes, ma'am.
Yes, good presentation, Nishita.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, सब लोग वीडियो पे आ जाओ. All of you come on the video. Yeah. Rinku, are you hearing me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
You tell me, what is your experience in the seminar presentation?
It was my first presentation in my life. It was the good experience. I learned from this that the way of speaking and explaining the topic, I built up my confidence level. And lastly, I thank you, Surekha ma'am, for helping in my presentation, in my practice of presentation.
Good.
Who guided me. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Khushi Rawal, what is your experience? Yes, what is your experience in this presentation?
Yes, ma'am. I learned a lot regarding mammary gland, the diseases, the disorders. I learned a lot, which will also help me in the examination. And I also got motivated for research, and it also built confidence while performing into the seminar. And Dr. Surekha ma'am also helped me a lot. She also gave motivation for the time management and performing with full confidence.
Anshika, are you hearing me?
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Priyanka, she is from Gujarati medium.
Okay.
And yesterday she was, जब भी मेरे उसका presentation लेना कुछ ना कुछ mistake हो रहा था, लेकिन today is the day, nothing. She was perfect during the presentation. So yes, Anshika, yes, Anshika, मैं आपसे जानना चाहूंगी कि what's your experience? क्या experience रहा आपका?
It was very wonderful and great experience. First of all, confidence. English में बोल और thank you ma'am for guiding us और कैसे express करना, present कैसे करना चाहिए, time management. Thank you ma'am for opportunity.
Yes, Divya. How was your experience? This is yesterday's student, Dr. Priyanka.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Ma'am, I was having a wonderful experience. I learned very much, not only from my presentation, but from others' presentation also. Thank you, ma'am, for providing us with this opportunity and for this wonderful experience. It was something really new and exciting.
Where is Khushi? Khushi kahan pe hai? Yes. Are you hearing me? Dr. Priyanka, actually, she is not feeling well since 8 days, but she told कि मैडम मैं तभी भी आपको मेरा मन में इच्छा है कि मैं देना चाहूंगी. So within the 2 days she prepared and today she is presented the same now. Yes,
मैम ये आपका गाइडेंस और मोटिवेशन है, वो बहुत बड़ी चीज है.
उनका हार्ड वर्क भी है.
Yes. Of course.
खुशी, आपका क्या एक्सपीरियंस रहा, क्या सीखा आपने इससे सेमिनार प्रेजेंटेशन से?
मैम बहुत ज्यादा कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल अप हुआ और पहले मुझे लग नहीं रहा था कि मैं इतने कम टाइम में अच्छे से बोल भी पाऊंगी. तो मैंने सुरेखा मैम से डिस्कस किया. सुरेखा मैम ने मुझे बहुत मोटिवेट किया और मुझे चांस दिया एंड टाइम पे कि मैं प्रेजेंट करूं. तो थैंक यू सुरेखा मैम, बहुत अच्छा लगा प्रेजेंट करके. बहुत ज्यादा कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल अप हुआ और मेरा टॉपिक भी मुझे क्लियर हो गया बाकी बच्चों के प्रेजेंटेशन से भी. बहुत अच्छा लगा.
Yes, अभी मैडम will be conclude today's session and remaining students we will discuss जैसे कि B batch और A batch के जो students है tomorrow will continue after the session. जैसे C batch का complete होने के बाद जिनका भी remaining part है we will continue. And now I would like to invite forensic medicine and toxicology department. In short form, it is called as FMT department. Madam is a HOD of this department, Dr. Priyanka Kothari. Yes, over to you, ma'am.
Well, thank you, ma'am. As it is said, the goal of education is the advancement of knowledge and the dissemination of truth. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, ma'am, and all participants. I, Dr. Priyanka Kothari, congratulate to all participants and Surekha ma'am. How nicely you organized today's webinar as I attended today. So I feel कि yesterday was थोड़ा सा मैंने आपके उस पे लिंक से देखा. Very nicely आपने दोनों दिन का वेबिनार ऑर्गेनाइज करवाया. थैंक यू मैम. जैसा स्टूडेंट्स के लिए मैं एक चीज कहना चाहूंगी कि जैसा मैम ने बताया, आपके लिए एनाटॉमी इज वेरी टफ सब्जेक्ट एज आई नो. बहुत ही टफ है और पर हमको उसकी नॉलेज होनी भी बहुत जरूरी है. इसके बाद भी आपने जितनी हार्ड वर्क के साथ जो प्रैक्टिसिंग की है अंडर द वेरी गुड गाइडेंस बाय सुरेखा मैम. So it was, I highly appreciate you all. जैसे जानवी, रीनी और खुशी, आपने जिस तरीके से एनाटॉमी को क्लिनिकल एस्पेक्ट के साथ एक्सप्लेन किया, वेरी ब्यूटीफुली एक्सप्लेन किया. कॉन्ग्रेचुलेट टू ऑल यू स्टूडेंट्स और सारे जितने भी स्टूडेंट्स हैं जिन्होंने पार्टिसिपेट नहीं किया है बट ऑडियंस है. So thanks to you all for your kind attention और interest. इसी तरीके से ये सारी जो एक्टिविटीज है ये हमारे लिए बहुत हेल्पफुल है. क्यों? बिकॉज हाउ विल गेट, हम इससे लर्निंग सीखेंगे. कैसे, हाउ टू वी स्टडी, हाउ टू वी लर्न, हाउ टू वी एक्सप्रेस आवर सेल्फ बिफोर स्क्रीन. ये एक कॉन्फिडेंस, जैसे बताया अंशिका ने भी बताया और मैडम ने शायद जानवी, कि थोड़ा सा नर्वसनेस रहती है. तो हम इस प्लेटफॉर्म से हम बूस्टअप होता है और हम कैसे एक्सप्लेन करते हैं, हमारी कैसे इम्प्रूवमेंट होती है, डिक्शन, प्रोनाउंसिएशन, प्रेजेंटेशन. तो हम धीरे 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 फाइन होते जाते हैं. तो वेल, थैंक्स टू एवरीवन. लास्टली मैम ने मुझे कंक्लूड करने के लिए बोला था. एक बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट हमारा है. At the end of the session, I would like to express my deep sense of gratitude toward our Vice Chancellor, Sir Professor Colonel S.S. Sarangdevat साहब, जिनका विजन ही उच्च शिक्षा और चिकित्सा रहा है. तो अगेन थैंकफुल टू आवर प्रिंसिपल सर सुरेखा मैम. स्पेशली आपने बहुत ही अच्छे से बच्चों को मोटिवेट किया, गाइड किया. और किस तरीके से सबसे अच्छा पार्ट मुझे इंटरेक्शन लगा, जहाँ क्वेश्चन आंसर बेस्ड. तो मैंने भी इस वेबिनार से बहुत सारी चीजें सीखी है. थैंक्स टू यू एंड थैंक्स टू ऑल स्टूडेंट. थैंक यू एवरीबॉडी.
Okay, thank you for the inspirations to the students हाँ, बहुत अच्छा लगा मुझे, है ना, कभी, क्योंकि ऐसा गैदरिंग होना जरूरी है। यूजुअली व्हाट इज अ पैटर्न, क्लास जाना, क्लास आना, लेकिन इसके अलावा भी हमारे जब एक्स्ट्रा एक्टिविटीज से ही हम हमारा जो इनर टैलेंट है वो डेवलप हो जाता है विद हेल्प ऑफ दिस मीन्स ऑल एक्टिविटीज, मे बी अनदर एक्टिविटी, जैसे हमने अब ये सेमिनार ऑनलाइन लिया, इसके अलावा भी हमने डॉक्टर प्रियंका अपने और भी एक्टिविटीज रखी है। नेक्स्ट मंथ वी विल प्रेजेंट दैट एक्टिविटी next month, and then next month. Already we booked all that activities, and already we distributed all topics to the students in the month of the first week of the June. ऐसा नहीं कि suddenly, हाँ, it is all pre-planned. Yeah, it is all pre-planned. And
Ma'am, I can see so much talented student in our class, but due to education, they never explore themselves.
Yes, guidance is must. Guidance is must.
प्लेटफॉर्म फॉर देम। और
yes.
सब अपना ही है, थोड़ा सा आगे बढ़ो, हम आपके साथ हैं, वो एक मोटिवेशन के साथ आपने बहुत अच्छे से ये आई एम वेरी ग्लेड, आई एम वेरी रिलेटेड लिटरली, थैंक यू।
ओके, थैंक यू। यस, आई एम फीलिंग वेरी, मुझे बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है, क्योंकि आज का देखो आपका प्रेजेंटेशन अच्छा होना, आपका परफॉर्मेंस अच्छा होना, वरना हमारे लिए भी एक गर्व की बात है, बहुत अच्छी बात है। और आप भी इस चीज विद दिस एक्सपीरियंस व्हाट वी लर्न, है ना, हार्ड वर्क, हाउ टू टॉक, हाउ टू एक्सप्रेस, है ना, एंड ड्यू टू दैट, है ना, जैसे कोई टॉपिक है, आप ऐसे तो पढ़ते नहीं है, लेकिन मेरा टॉपिक है, यू हैव टू रेफर नंबर ऑफ द बुक्स, है ना, कहीं फिर मीनिंग पता नहीं, डिक्शनरी खोलो, फिर उसका एक मीनिंग हम सर्च करो, सीक्वेंस देखो, डायग्राम्स देखो, एक्चुअली बॉडी में पार्ट्स कहाँ पे है, क्या कनेक्शंस है रिलेशंस के साथ, और जैसे हम एनाटॉमी पढ़ते तो क्या क्लिनिकल इसका को रिलेशन है, अप्लाइड एस्पेक्ट है, so that we learn from this session. Thank you so much all of you, and have a nice day, and special thanks to Dr. Priyanka.
Thank you, ma'am.
Tomorrow again we will meet with a new batch C, the same time, maybe tomorrow's time may be early, to tomorrow I will inform you. And आज जिन लोगों का भी नहीं हुआ है, जो कि A batch और C batch का फीडबैक still it is remain, tomorrow we will continue. Yes, thank you so much.